Our recent study on weighbridge fines has been able to find out that over 300 trucks have been impounded within the last 1 year. That's by the Kenya National Highways Authority, and fines paid have been over 900 million Kenya shillings. So for this presentation, we look at Kenya weighbridge fines and a guide into it. This guide is provided by Finatruck Global Limited through the truck marketplace www.trucks.co.ke. So the goal of this presentation will be to enable stakeholders, that's the truck owners and other related parties, to be able to better manage their trucks and reduce their costs. We'll be able to look at the permissible maximum axle loads, maximum gross vehicle weights, liquid tankers, that's the bulk liquid tankers, weighbridge fines calculator, and also I'll be able to share some tips on overloading. And finally, we'll have our conclusion. So first of all, what you need to learn is the permissible maximum axle loads. So for the axle, this refers to the part of the truck where the tires interlock or rather join. So the first thing is the steering area, which is the front part of the truck. So that's the single steering axle. Two wheels fitted with single tires. The maximum load here is 8 tons. Then from there, you need to be able to note single axle or 4 wheels. This refers to 2 tires on both sides. This is towards the rear part of the truck. We'll have a maximum of 10 tons, which is 10,000 kilograms. Then for the tandem axle group, so these are 8 wheels, dual tires. So for example, if you have a 10-wheeler, at the front you have your single steering axle, at the back you have your 2 axles, which are together. So that's a total of 8 tires. So this area should have a total of 18 tons. And then finally, for trucks with a triple axle group, the last part of the truck should be able to weigh 24,000 kilograms, which is 24 tons. So the consequences of failing to fulfill these requirements might lead to you being impounded at the weighbridge and being forced to transfer tonnages, or rather spread out the load on your truck for them to be able to comply with these particular tonnages. So this is usually a safe overloading scenario. In the event that you have loose cargo, it's something which can easily be fixed as long as you haven't surpassed the gross weight, we should be able to look at in the next slide. So maximum gross vehicle weights. So this refers to the total weight of the truck plus the cargo, which is on board it. One thing to note here is the different classifications of the trucks. So you should be able to know where your truck falls and be able to understand the total, or rather the maximum gross vehicle weight, which will be allowed on the weighbridge. So for a vehicle with 2 axles, you have to have a maximum gross weight of 18 tons. And then after that, vehicles with 3 axles, you have to maintain 26 tons. A vehicle and semi-trailer with a total of 3 axles, that's 28 tons. A vehicle with 4 axles, you have to be at 30 tons. So an important thing to note is, yes, you can be having 4 axles, but if the vehicle now has a semi-trailer with a total of 4 axles, you get 6 extra tons. So with such a scenario where your truck has a semi-trailer, now you have to have a total maximum gross weight of 36 tons. A vehicle and a drawbar trailer with a total of 4 axles, you also have to maintain 36 tons. A vehicle and a semi-trailer with a total of 5 axles. In this scenario, you have a maximum of 44 tons, which is also 44,000 kilograms. The vehicle and a dropper trailer with a total of 5 axles, you will have to have a maximum of 44 tons also. So it's good to note for the dropper trailer and the semi-trailer usually fall in the same category for 5 axles and for 4 axles. But for 6 axles, the vehicle and semi-trailer with a total of 6 axles, you have to have a maximum of 50 tons. And for vehicle and a dropper trailer with a total of 6 tons, the total of 6 axles, you have to maintain a maximum gross vehicle weight of 52 tons. So that's an important distinction for you to be able to identify. So the maximum gross vehicle weight is the most important part in relation to overloading at the weighbridge. Because the earlier overloading on the axles, you can be given an allowance of transferring part of the load. If you have overloaded on the back, move, let's say, 1 ton towards the front part of your truck. But in the event that it's a maximum gross vehicle weight overload, this is directly leading to a penalty and the truck will be impounded. And then in the scenario that your truck is used for bulk liquid tankers or bulk liquid transportation, it's also good for you to be able to note this beforehand. Even before installing the liquid tank, you need to be able to identify the maximum cubic meters of a particular tanker. So for 2 axle goods vehicles, not exceeding 7 tons tear weight. So now this means 7 tons while your truck is empty. Maximum cubic meters are 11 cubic meters. For a 3 axle goods vehicle, not exceeding 7 tons tear weight, you have to maintain a maximum cubic meters of 18. For 3 axle goods vehicle whose tear weight exceeds 7 tons but does not exceed 10 tons, you have to maintain 14 cubic meters. 2 axle dropper trailer not exceeding 6 tons, that's tear weight, of course, you have to maintain 12 cubic meters. For 3 axle dropper trailer not exceeding 8 tons tear weight, you have to maintain 17 cubic meters. For 3 axle semi-trailer drawn by a 3 axle prime mover not exceeding 18 total tear weight, your tank should be a maximum of 32 cubic meters. So for 3 axle semi-trailer drawn by a 2 axle prime mover not exceeding 17 tons total weight, you have to have a 28 cubic meters tank. 2 axle semi-trailer drawn by a 3 axle prime mover not exceeding 17 tons tear weight, you have to maintain 24 cubic meters. So an important thing to note here is for bulk liquid tankers, they're really sensitive, dependent on the type of prime mover which you're using and also on the type of the truck. So it's a good thing for you to be able to note. And finally, for a 2 axle semi-trailer drawn by a 2 axle prime mover not exceeding 15 tons, the total tear weight, that's 15 tons of the total tear weight, you have to maintain 19 cubic meters. So before even investing in a tank, you should be able to be conversant with the type of truck which you have and the recommended, or rather the required capacity, maximum volume of the bulk liquid tank. So with that being said, we can cross over to the fines. One important thing to note is these fines are quoted in US dollars, so you have to convert them at the current exchange rate. So the rates might vary day to day, depending on the current exchange rate. So we've been able to come up with a calculator which you can easily access and calculate your exact fines or other penalties. We'll be able to upload this document, and once you click here, you'll be able to access the file. So here we have the file of the relevant fines or other fees are being charged here in US dollars. So you can see the fines are based on the gross vehicle weight. On this left-hand side, this refers to the total kgs which you've surpassed or which are over the limit. So let's say the required gross vehicle weight for your truck was a total of 26,000 kilograms, rather 26 tons. So if you've overloaded with between 1 kg to 500 kgs, now your fine will be $235.90. So for you to be able to get this exact amount, we've also made it simple. So in this scenario, what we have here is the exchange rate, the current exchange rate for the dollar to the shilling. In the event, let's say the dollar is exchanging at 140 shillings. So once you insert it here, it will be able to compute for you the relevant fines now in Kenya shillings, because you don't pay them in dollars, you pay them in Kenya shillings. And for you to be able to make these payments, you can make this payment through M-Pesa or through a banker's check to Kenya. So before, it was only through a banker's check, but currently they've introduced mobile payments, so you can easily pay for the fines while you are at the weighbridge. And also, an important thing to note is, even after you pay for this particular fine, they won't allow your truck to leave the weighbridge until you offload the extra load to another truck. And both the trucks are weighed, and both trucks are within the limits in terms of tonnage for you to be allowed to leave the weighbridge. So it's an important thing to note. The event that you overload, you have to note that you need another truck to come and offload the extra load on your truck for you to be able to be allowed to leave the weighbridge even after paying. So these tonnages go quite high. So in the event that you've overloaded the maximum of 31,500 kilograms, you see your fine will range close to 52,500,000. I will also provide a link in the description of this video where you can be able to get this Excel sheet and use it now for better planning on your end, and also make yourself conversant with the different overloading fines. So an important thing to remember always, the weights here are what you've overloaded with. In the event that, let's say, you're supposed to be carrying a maximum of 22 or rather 18 tons, and your truck is currently at 20 tons, that means you've overloaded with 2,000 kilograms. So this is what your fine will be. Now let's also look at some tips. One of the major tips which you can be able to use to avoid paying these fines is utilize private weighbridge services. So private weighbridge services are provided by either suppliers or rather sellers of goods, or private companies which charge truck owners to be able to weigh their trucks before entering any public weighbridge or before entering the main highways. It's good for you to invest or rather purchase goods from a location where they're weighed after leaving the site, or get access to a private weighbridge where you can be able to pay a small amount and be sure that your truck is within the loading limits. Another important thing to do is getting a weighbridge permit. So for the weighbridge permit, if you're having a truck, you need to be a member of a Sacco. So the Saccos have an association which is the Truckers Association of Kenya. You can be able to access the Saccos within your locality. So the Saccos are grouped into chapters, which are relevant to the different regions. So for you to be able to see the Saccos around your area, I'll also provide a link to Truckers Association of Kenya website, where you can easily access the website and see the Saccos within your region. And you can join either of the Saccos which you feel meet your budget and the additional services which they offer as a Sacco. So once you enter the Sacco, you'll be required to provide documents about your truck, such as the logbook, a copy of insurance, copy of inspection report, and pictures of your truck. Then your Sacco will be able to apply Kena for a weighbridge permit. So the way the weighbridge permit works is you're given an extra tonnage which your truck can be able to carry. So the standard practice is that they issue you with a 6 months permit, weighbridge permit, and you have to pay for this permit. So also your Sacco will be able to advise on this, on the exact amount which you need to pay. And once you get your permit, it will clearly state the number of extra tons which are added. So normally for 10-wheelers and above, it's mainly 2 extra tons. And for the other smaller trucks, is an extra 1 ton. But it's always good for you to get the actual current information about this. So what this does is it helps you save on overloading charges and also reducing the risk of overloading. So in the event that you have a 10-wheeler truck, where normally you would be required to carry a maximum, or rather have a gross maximum weight of 26 tons, now you can be able to carry up to 28 tons since you have the 2 extra tons from the permit. For individuals who have now the semi-trailers and above, they can apply for these permits directly through the Kena offices. So currently the head office of Kena is at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. So you can simply visit them for you to be able to organize for this particular weighbridge permit. Finally, you need to take caution on added weight during the journey. So we have scenarios where on loading, you might be within the weighbridge limits, but due to added tonnages, or rather added weights during your journey, they might result in you overloading once you reach the weighbridge. So one of the examples is rain. So let's say you'd carried loose cargo such as river sand, but on your way it was raining, or on loading it was raining. So the weight of the water might result in you overloading. So you might find you've overloaded with an extra 50 kgs. So you fall within the bracket of overloading less than 500 kilograms, and you end up being fined. Also, another scenario which we've seen a lot is on fuel. So on loading, your good, let's say the total tonnage of your truck is 27,950, for instance. And you have your weighbridge permit, so you think you're below the 28 tonnage, 28 tons. So, but after loading your goods, you also refuel your truck. So let's say on loading your almost empty tank, now you've refueled. So the extra weight of this fuel might also result in you being overloaded. Also, carrying additional passengers and cargo along the road might result in you overloading. So an important thing to note before entering any weighbridge, make sure you have avoided unnecessary added weights. And in the event that this is due to natural causes, it's better for you to wait. Let's say if it's rain, for your truck at least to dry a bit. And in the event that you need to refuel, always try and refuel after entering the main weighbridge. So to be able to learn more, you might feel free to contact us through email. That's info@trucks.co.ke. You can also visit our website and learn more about us, or visit any of our offices or outlets. So we have an outlet in Nairobi, Stamon. We also have another office in Nairobi, which is Next Gen Mall. And at Mlolongo, we have a garage yard. And also in Mombasa at Moi Avenue. You can also reach us on phone 0723 645 810. Thank you.